Have you ever wondered how much lighter your life would feel if you simply let go of the things that quietly drain your energy? Not the obvious distractions, not the big obstacles you can point to, but the subtle weights you carry every day without even realizing it. Think about how often you go to sleep feeling restless, or wake up with a heaviness you can't quite name. So much of that unease is not because of what's happening outside of you, but because of what you've allowed to remain inside. The truth is, peace doesn't come from adding more to your life. It comes from removing what doesn't serve you. And sometimes the most powerful change begins in silence, in the quiet act of elimination. You already know that life is short. You've heard it said 1,000 times. But have you ever truly stopped to feel what that means? Every moment that slips away is a moment you'll never get back. Yet most of us live carrying unnecessary baggage, old habits, toxic influences, limiting thoughts that quietly shape our choices and hold us back from becoming who we were meant to be. You don't need to wait for a crisis to wake up to this truth. You don't need to wait until you're on the edge of burnout, regret, or despair. You can choose right now to clear space in your life for peace, growth, and freedom. The power of elimination is not about loss. It's about gain. When you take away what weakens you, you unlock what strengthens you. Imagine how much energy you would have if you no longer wasted it on people who drain your spirit. Imagine how much confidence you would feel if you stopped feeding thoughts that tell you you're not enough. Imagine how much freedom you would create if you no longer tied your worth to what others think. This is not about becoming someone else. This is about peeling away what was never truly you. And here's why this matters so deeply. When you create space inside yourself, life fills it with clarity. You stop rushing without direction. You stop chasing without purpose. You begin to hear your own voice again. The voice that knows what you want, the voice that knows what you need, the voice that has been buried beneath years of noise. That inner voice is where your power lives. And the quieter you become, the louder it speaks. Stay with this message until the end, because what you're about to hear is not just another list of tips. It's a guide to transformation. 10 powerful things you must quietly remove from your life if you want to step into peace, into growth, and into strength. Some of these things may surprise you, some may challenge you, and some may feel almost impossible to let go of. But if you do, you'll discover a level of freedom and focus that you may not have felt in years. So as you listen, don't just hear the words. Ask yourself honestly, where in my life am I holding on to what's already holding me back? Be open, be willing. Because once you begin to release what no longer belongs, you'll start to rise into the version of yourself that has been waiting for you all along. This is your invitation to peace, to growth, to a lighter and stronger life. One of the most silent thieves of your peace is comparison. It sneaks in when you're scrolling through social media, when you overhear someone's success, or when you look at another person's life and secretly measure it against your own. Comparison doesn't just steal your joy, it poisons your perspective. It convinces you that no matter what you do, it's never enough because someone, somewhere, is doing more, earning more, or looking better. And the more you feed that thought, the more you shrink your own worth. Think about how many times you've looked at someone else's highlight reel and questioned your own path. How many times you've dismissed your achievements because they didn't look as glamorous as someone else's. How often you've told yourself you're behind, when in reality, you're right where you're supposed to be. The trap of comparison is endless, because there will always be someone ahead in one area. But what you forget is that there is no one else living your life. No one else has your exact journey, your exact struggles, your exact dreams. Your path is yours alone, and measuring it against another person's story is like comparing the sunrise to the ocean. Both are beautiful, but they're not meant to be the same. Psychology shows us that the more we compare, the less satisfied we become. Our brains are wired to focus on what we lack when we place ourselves in the shadow of others. And this doesn't just rob us of joy, it creates stress, anxiety, and self-doubt. But here's the truth you need to hold close. Every time you eliminate comparison, you reclaim confidence. Every time you catch yourself looking outward for validation and instead look inward for progress, you step into freedom. Imagine how powerful your life would feel if you stopped wasting energy envying someone else's chapter and poured that energy into writing your own. Imagine waking up with the clarity that your only competition is the person you were yesterday. Imagine how unstoppable you would be if you measured success not by how fast you move compared to others, but by how true you remain to your values, your growth, and your calling. This is not easy, but it is simple. It begins the moment you remind yourself that you are enough. Not when you achieve more, not when you look a certain way, not when you finally catch up to someone else's timeline. You are enough now. And the more you embrace that truth, the more peace you feel within yourself. When you let go of comparison, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see others not as threats, but as inspiration. You celebrate their wins without diminishing your own. You learn from their strengths without questioning your worth. You step into a space where gratitude grows because you finally see the beauty of your own life without filters, without distortion. And gratitude is the soil where inner peace takes root. So ask yourself right now, how much time, energy, and joy have you lost to comparison? How many dreams have you delayed because you were too focused on someone else's progress? How much freedom could you unlock if you finally chose to measure your worth by your own growth? The moment you decide to cut comparison from your life, you open the door to peace. You open the door to growth. You open the door to becoming the strongest, most authentic version of yourself. Another quiet weight that holds you down is the habit of overthinking. It disguises itself as preparation, as caution, as responsibility, but in truth it is fear wearing a clever mask. Overthinking takes what should be a simple decision and stretches it into hours of hesitation, doubt, and worry. It drains your energy before you even take the first step. It convinces you that something terrible will happen if you move forward, and so you stay stuck, trapped in endless mental loops that steal your peace and delay your growth. Think about how many times you've replayed a conversation in your head, analyzing every word as if your entire life depended on it. Think about the opportunities you've delayed because you kept waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect conditions. Overthinking creates a prison made of your own thoughts, where you are both the guard and the prisoner. And the saddest part is that while you sit in that prison, life keeps moving. The moments you spend spiraling are moments you never get back. Psychologists call it the illusion of control, the belief that if you think long enough, you can somehow control every outcome. But the truth is, no amount of analysis can remove uncertainty. No amount of worry can guarantee success. Life was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to be lived. And living requires risk. It requires faith. It requires action. When you let go of overthinking, you make space for clarity. You begin to trust your instincts, trust your preparation, and most importantly, trust yourself. Imagine how much lighter you would feel if you stopped replaying every mistake in your mind. Imagine how much progress you would make if you simply took the next step instead of analyzing the 100 steps ahead. Imagine how free you would become if you accepted that failure is not the end, but part of the process. Every great achievement in history was born not from overthinking, but from action. People who changed the world didn't wait until every doubt was gone. They moved forward despite their doubts. Every time you catch yourself spiraling in endless what-ifs, remind yourself that clarity doesn't come before action. It comes after it. You cannot think your way into confidence. You build confidence by doing. You cannot wait your way into certainty. You create certainty by moving forward and learning along the way. The mind loves to complicate, but the truth is simple. Take the step, adjust as you go, and trust that you will figure it out. Letting go of overthinking does not mean you act recklessly. It means you prepare enough, then you release the fear of not knowing everything. It means you stop feeding the illusion that one more hour of analysis will make the risk disappear. It means you understand that growth requires stepping into the unknown and being willing to learn as you go. Ask yourself right now, how many dreams have you delayed because you kept overthinking? How many chances have you lost because you waited for a perfect plan that never came? How much peace have you sacrificed because you couldn't silence the voice of doubt in your mind? The moment you stop overthinking is the moment you start living, and the life you are capable of is waiting. But it will only begin the second you let go of fear, trust yourself, and take the step that is right in front of you. There is another heavy burden you may not even notice you are carrying, the habit of holding on to toxic relationships. These are not always loud, obvious, or openly destructive. Often they are subtle. They are the connections that drain your energy, the people who belittle your dreams, the voices that make you doubt your worth. Sometimes they are disguised as friends, family, or even partners, but deep down you know they leave you feeling smaller instead of stronger. And yet you hold on, hoping things will change, hoping they will finally see your value, hoping love or loyalty will be enough to heal what has already broken you. But the truth is, keeping toxic relationships in your life is one of the fastest ways to lose yourself. Human beings are deeply influenced by their environment. Psychology shows us that we unconsciously mirror the people around us, adopting their habits, their emotions, even their beliefs. When you surround yourself with negativity, you carry it like a shadow. You begin to see yourself through their lens, and eventually you believe the lies they project onto you. Toxic relationships are not just unpleasant, they are dangerous because they slowly convince you that you are less than you truly are. Think of how much peace you lose when you spend time with people who constantly criticize, complain, or discourage you. Think of how your energy shifts when you leave their presence, feeling exhausted instead of inspired. Think of how often you have silenced your own needs, your own truth, just to keep the peace with someone who has no interest in protecting yours. These moments add up, and before long, you find yourself questioning your worth, doubting your path, and shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Letting go of toxic relationships is not about hate, anger, or revenge. It is about love, the love you finally decide to give yourself. It is about understanding that you are worthy of connections that lift you higher, not pull you down. It is about realizing that you cannot heal in the same environment that is making you sick. The most powerful act of self-respect is choosing to walk away from what diminishes you, even if it feels difficult, even if it feels lonely at first. Imagine what your life would feel like if you only surrounded yourself with people who believed in you, people who reminded you of your strength, who supported your growth, who celebrated your victories instead of resenting them. Imagine the courage you would build if your circle inspired you to rise higher instead of dragging you lower. This is not a fantasy. This is possible the moment you choose to clear out the relationships that keep you stuck in cycles of pain. Yes, it will hurt to let go. Yes, it will feel heavy at first. But what feels heavy now will eventually become freedom. Because once you remove the toxic, you make space for the genuine. You make space for people who see your light, who encourage your purpose, who want to see you win. And when you find those people, your journey transforms. Growth becomes easier, peace becomes natural, and love feels true. Ask yourself honestly, who in your life consistently leaves you feeling drained? Who makes you doubt yourself instead of believe in yourself? And most importantly, how much longer will you allow their voice to drown out your own? The moment you decide to release what is toxic is the moment you finally begin to rise into the life you deserve. There is also the silent weight of clinging to past mistakes. They replay in your mind like a film you never asked to watch again, reminding you of what you did wrong, what you should have done differently, what you can never go back and fix. And with every replay, the past steals a piece of your present. You carry guilt, shame, or regret as if punishing yourself long enough will somehow undo what happened. But punishment does not create peace. Living in the shadow of old choices only blinds you to the opportunities right in front of you. Your mind may try to convince you that by holding on to regret, you are being responsible, that you are learning your lesson. But in reality, true growth does not come from endless self-criticism. It comes from acknowledgement, acceptance, and release. Psychology teaches us that self-compassion is one of the strongest predictors of resilience. When you treat yourself with kindness instead of judgment, your brain opens to healing, your spirit opens to change, and your life opens to growth. Beating yourself down only chains you to the same mistakes. Forgiving yourself frees you to create something better, Think of how many dreams you've postponed because you told yourself you weren't worthy after failing once. Think of the times you stayed small because you carried the memory of when you tried and didn't succeed. Think of the love, the opportunities, the peace you denied yourself because you kept replaying a past you could never change. Those mistakes were never meant to define you. They were meant to shape you. They were meant to teach you something that success never could. But once the lesson is learned, the burden must be released. Imagine if every time you remembered a mistake, instead of letting it weaken you, you let it remind you of your strength. Imagine if every regret became fuel, showing you that you survived, you endured, and you are still standing. Imagine if you could look at your past without shame, but with gratitude for the growth it forced you to discover. This shift is not just possible, it is transformative. The past does not have to be a prison. It can be the foundation on which you build your freedom. Carrying mistakes is like carrying stones in your pocket. At first they feel small, but over time the weight becomes unbearable. And yet the stones are yours to drop. No one else can do it for you. The moment you decide to put them down, your steps become lighter, your vision becomes clearer, and your heart becomes stronger. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is the ultimate act of courage, because it means you are choosing to believe in your future more than you are chained to your past. So ask yourself right now, what mistakes are you still carrying? What regrets echo in your mind when you are alone, and how much longer will you let them control you? The past cannot be undone, but it also cannot define you unless you allow it to. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are the strength that grew through them, the wisdom that came from them, and the courage that will rise beyond them. The moment you release regret, you reclaim your power. And with that power, nothing can stop you from creating the life you deserve. Another burden that silently robs you of peace is the need for constant approval. It is the craving for validation, the subtle hunger for others to tell you that you are enough, that you are worthy, that you are accepted. It often begins quietly, disguised as seeking connection or wanting to be liked, but over time it becomes a cage. Every choice you make starts revolving around what others might think. Every word you speak is filtered through fear of judgment. And slowly, without even noticing, you hand over your freedom to the opinions of people who cannot live your life for you. The truth is, the need for approval is endless. No matter how much praise you receive, it will never be enough to silence the insecurity that drives it. Human approval is fragile. One moment it is given, the next it is taken away. If your sense of worth depends on it, you will forever be at the mercy of other people's moods, biases, and expectations. That is not living. That is surviving in chains. Psychology shows us that external validation activates the brain's reward system, but the effect is temporary. It fades quickly, leaving you chasing the next fix, the next compliment, the next nod of approval. What truly lasts is self-validation, the ability to recognize your own value without needing someone else to confirm it. Think of how many times you've silenced your truth because you feared rejection. Think of the moments you held back your dreams because you worried they wouldn't be understood or accepted. Think of the energy you've wasted trying to please people who may not even remember your efforts tomorrow. Every time you choose approval over authenticity, you lose a piece of yourself. And over time, those small losses add up until you barely recognize who you are beneath the mask. But imagine if you no longer needed permission to be yourself. Imagine waking up each day with the quiet confidence that your worth is not up for debate. Imagine pursuing your goals, your passions, your truth, not because others will cheer for you, but because your soul knows it was meant to. That is the freedom that comes when you let go of the need for constant approval. It is the freedom of living aligned with your own values, your own vision, your own heart. Letting go does not mean you stop caring for others. It means you stop betraying yourself for their acceptance. It means you learn to stand tall even when others disagree. It means you trust that those who truly belong in your life will love you for who you are, not for the version of yourself you pretend to be. And when you live authentically, you attract authenticity in return. The relationships you build are deeper, the respect you earn is real, and the peace you feel within is unshakable. Ask yourself now, how much of your life have you lived for someone else's approval? How many choices have you made out of fear instead of truth? And how much lighter would you feel if you finally decided that your worth is not dependent on applause? The moment you release the need to be approved, is the moment you begin to approve of yourself. And in that moment, you step into a strength that no one can take away from you. There is another hidden chain that keeps you from peace and growth, the habit of clinging to unnecessary clutter. This is not only about the physical objects that fill your home, but also the mental and emotional clutter that fills your mind. Every unused item you hold on to, every unfinished project you keep tucked away, every piece of unresolved noise in your environment weighs on you more than you realize. Clutter whispers constantly. It reminds you of what you haven't done, what you're avoiding, what you're carrying but no longer need. It keeps you tethered to the past and robs you of the clarity to fully step into the present. The human brain craves order. Studies show that clutter increases stress hormones and drains focus because every unnecessary thing in your environment becomes one more demand on your attention. You may think you've learned to live with it, but your mind registers every pile, every unfinished task, every excess. And over time, it creates a background noise that erodes your calm and clouds your thinking. Clearing clutter is not just about having a tidy space. It is about creating mental freedom. It is about choosing to release what distracts you so you can focus on what truly matters. Think of how much lighter you feel after letting go of something you no longer need. Think of the sense of space, of breath, of possibility that opens up when you remove the excess. Now imagine carrying that same principle into your mind. Imagine letting go of the thoughts that no longer serve you, the doubts that replay endlessly, the stories you tell yourself that keep you small. Just like physical clutter, mental clutter piles up quietly until it becomes overwhelming. And just like physical clutter, it only leaves when you decide it no longer deserves space in your life. Letting go of clutter is an act of courage because it forces you to face what you've been avoiding. Sometimes we hold on to objects because they represent comfort, security, or identity. Sometimes we cling to mental clutter because we fear who we might become without it. But the truth is, you are not your possessions, and you are not your recycled thoughts. You are something far greater. And every time you release clutter, you peel back another layer of noise that has been hiding your true self. Imagine your environment stripped of everything that does not serve you. Clean, clear, simple, filled only with what you love and what supports your growth. Imagine your mind stripped of every unnecessary worry, every recycled doubt, every thought that adds no value to your future. That is the state of inner peace you deserve. And it is waiting for you on the other side of letting go. Clutter is not harmless. It is heavy. It takes from you every day, silently and persistently. But the moment you decide to clear it, you reclaim space, energy, and clarity. You make room for new opportunities, new ideas, new strength. And with each release, you send a message to yourself and to the world. I am no longer carrying what does not belong to me. Ask yourself now, what clutter am I still holding on to? What objects, thoughts, or unfinished tasks are weighing me down more than I admit? And what freedom could I create if I simply let them go? The power is already in your hands. The lighter you travel, the further you can go. And your journey has only just begun. Another weight that quietly drains your strength is the habit of negative self-talk. The words you speak to yourself shape your reality more than anything anyone else could ever say. Every thought becomes a seed. And when you constantly tell yourself you are not enough, not capable, not worthy, those seeds take root and grow into limitations that exist only in your mind. You may not even notice it happening because self-criticism often disguises itself as honesty or humility, but in truth it is sabotage. It is the voice of fear, insecurity, and past pain repeating itself until you believe it is fact. Psychology confirms that the brain cannot distinguish between words spoken out loud and thoughts repeated internally. Every time you criticize yourself, your brain and body respond as if the world itself is attacking you. Stress hormones rise, confidence drops, and your ability to take bold action weakens. Yet the opposite is also true. When you speak to yourself with compassion, when you affirm your worth, when you choose words of strength instead of defeat, your brain shifts, you rewire your patterns, you build resilience, you begin to believe in possibilities that once felt unreachable. Think of how many times you've told yourself you're not ready, not smart enough, not strong enough. Think of how often you've rehearsed failure in your head before you even tried. Think of the dreams you've delayed because the voice inside convinced you that you didn't deserve them. That voice has been lying to you, and every time you listen, you give it more power. But the moment you challenge it, the moment you replace those words with truth, its grip begins to weaken. Imagine if you spoke to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love. Imagine if every time you made a mistake, instead of tearing yourself down, you said, "I am learning, I am growing, I am becoming stronger." Imagine how much courage you would feel if your inner voice became your greatest supporter instead of your harshest critic. That is not wishful thinking. It is a choice you can make, one thought at a time. Negative self-talk is a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken. It begins with awareness, catching the words as they come. Then it requires replacement. Choosing to speak to yourself with strength, with truth, with compassion. This is not about empty affirmations or pretending everything is perfect. It is about recognizing that the voice inside your head should not be your enemy. It should be your ally, your guide, your source of courage when the world feels heavy. Ask yourself now, what words have I been repeating to myself that keep me small? What phrases run through my mind that I would never say to someone I love? And most importantly, what new words could I choose that would lift me instead of break me? The quality of your inner voice determines the quality of your outer life. The moment you eliminate negative self-talk, you step into a new identity, one built on truth, strength, and possibility. You already have everything within you to rise higher. The only question is, will you choose to speak it into existence? There is another quiet force that drains your life without you even noticing, the habit of procrastination. It may feel harmless in the moment, disguised as rest or disguised as waiting for the right time, but beneath the surface, it is one of the greatest thieves of peace and growth. Procrastination is not about laziness. It is about fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of facing discomfort. And so you delay. You put off the action that would move you forward, convincing yourself that tomorrow will be easier, tomorrow will be clearer, tomorrow will be safer. But tomorrow never comes, and each delay becomes another chain that holds you in place. The cost of procrastination is not just lost time, it is lost confidence. Every time you delay something important, you strengthen the belief that you cannot handle it. Every undone task sits in the back of your mind, quietly creating guilt and stress. You carry the weight of what you're avoiding everywhere you go, and that weight steals your energy even more than the work itself would. Research shows that unfinished tasks linger in the brain, demanding attention until they are completed. That constant mental background noise erodes your focus, your peace, and your motivation. Think of how many dreams have been postponed because of waiting for the perfect moment. Think of the talents left unused, the ideas never acted on, the opportunities missed because the first step was delayed again and again. Procrastination does not just steal from your schedule, it steals from your potential. It convinces you that there is always more time, while silently taking that time away. The truth is, you do not need more time. You need more courage to use the time you already have. Imagine the freedom you would feel if you finally acted on the things you've been putting off. Imagine the relief of no longer carrying the burden of avoidance. Imagine the pride of looking back and realizing that you took action when it mattered most. That is not just productivity, that is self-respect. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you are capable, that you are disciplined, that you are worthy of trust, even your own. And that trust becomes the foundation of unstoppable momentum. Breaking the habit of procrastination does not mean doing everything at once. It means choosing to act, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it feels imperfect. It means realizing that waiting will never make the fear disappear. It will only make it stronger. But when you take action, even a small step, the fear begins to fade. Action breeds clarity, action breeds confidence, action breeds peace. Ask yourself honestly, what am I avoiding right now that could change my life if I faced it? What small step have I delayed that could bring me closer to the future I want? And what is procrastination truly costing me? Not in time, but in peace, in confidence, in potential. The moment you eliminate procrastination, you take back your power. You stop waiting for the right time and start creating it. And when you do, you will realize that the life you've been postponing has been waiting for you all along. Another weight that quietly drains your spirit is the habit of living in constant worry about the future. It disguises itself as responsibility, as preparation, as planning ahead. But beneath the surface, worry is nothing more than rehearsing pain that has not happened yet. It traps your mind in a loop of what-ifs, playing scenarios that may never come to pass, and in the process, it robs you of the only thing you truly have, this moment. Your mind may believe that worrying protects you, that if you imagine every possible outcome, you will be safer, more prepared, more in control. But worry is not protection. It is poison. Studies in psychology reveal that nearly 85% of the things people worry about never actually happen. And when they do, people often discover that they are far more capable of handling reality than they ever imagined. The truth is, you can spend your entire life worrying and still not prevent difficulty. All worry does is drain the strength you need to face life when it actually arrives. Think of how often you've lost peace not because of what was real, but because of what you feared. Think of the nights you lay awake, imagining problems that never became reality. Think of the opportunities you turned away from because your mind convinced you the risk was too great, even when your heart knew it was right. Worry doesn't just steal your peace, it steals your future. It convinces you to shrink, to avoid, to delay, to live in fear instead of faith. Imagine how much lighter life would feel if you released the grip of worry. Imagine waking each morning not with the weight of 1,000 possible problems, but with the freedom to face the day as it comes. Imagine the strength you would discover in yourself if you trusted that no matter what happens, you will find a way through it. That shift is not about ignoring reality. It is about refusing to live twice, once in fear and once in truth. Worry feeds on the illusion of control. It makes you believe that the more you think about a problem, the more power you have over it. But real control does not come from worry. Real control comes from action, from doing what you can in this moment, and then releasing what is beyond you. Peace is not found in obsessing over every possible outcome. It is found in choosing to meet life with courage, step by step, moment by moment. Ask yourself now, how much of your life have you spent suffering over things that never happened? How much energy have you lost to fears that never came true? And how much stronger could you be if you stopped rehearsing pain and started preparing with purpose instead? The moment you eliminate worry, you begin to live with clarity. You stop wasting today on fears about tomorrow, and when tomorrow comes, you meet it not with exhaustion, but with strength. Peace is not the absence of challenges. It is the absence of wasted fear, and it is yours to claim the moment you let go. There is also the heavy cost of holding on to resentment. Anger and bitterness may feel like protection, like armor against those who have wronged you, but in truth they are chains that bind you to pain. Resentment does not punish the person who hurt you. It punishes you. It keeps the wound open long after the moment has passed, replaying it in your mind, keeping you tied to the very thing you wish to be free from. And as long as you hold on, peace remains just out of reach. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. It is not about excusing what happened. It is not about forgetting or pretending that the pain was small. Forgiveness is about refusing to let the past poison your present. It is about deciding that you will no longer carry the weight of someone else's actions. Psychology shows us that forgiveness reduces stress, improves mental health, and even strengthens the immune system. But beyond the science, forgiveness is freedom. It is the moment you stop drinking the poison of anger and finally allow yourself to heal. Think of how many times resentment has stolen joy from you. Think of the days you spent replaying a conversation, rehearsing what you should have said, fueling the fire of hurt over and over. Think of how the anger crept into other parts of your life, making you less patient, less kind, less open to love. Resentment is not passive. It spreads. And the longer you hold it, the deeper it takes root, until it becomes part of how you see yourself in the world. But imagine if you let it go. Imagine waking up without the heaviness of old grudges. Imagine looking at your future without the shadow of past hurts clouding it. Imagine the relief of knowing that no one else's choices have the power to control your peace. That is the gift of forgiveness. It is not for them, it is for you. It is the key that unlocks the door to freedom, a door you may not have realized was locked from the inside. Letting go of resentment is not a single act, it is a practice. It means choosing, again and again, not to feed the anger, not to fuel the bitterness. It means acknowledging the hurt, learning from it, and then releasing it so it does not define you. It means replacing the question, why did this happen to me, with how will I grow because of it? This shift transforms pain into power, wounds into wisdom, and brokenness into strength. Ask yourself now, who am I still holding in my heart with anger? What memories do I replay that only keep me stuck in the past? And how much lighter could my life feel if I finally released them? Forgiveness is not weakness, it is strength. It is the decision to rise above what was done to you and to step fully into the life you are meant to live. The moment you let go of resentment, you reclaim your peace. You reclaim your energy. And most importantly, you reclaim yourself. Another invisible weight that keeps you from peace is the habit of perfectionism. It often hides beneath the mask of ambition or high standards, but at its core it is fear, the fear of not being good enough unless everything is flawless. Perfectionism convinces you that no matter how much you achieve, it's never quite enough. It whispers that every mistake is a failure, every imperfection a weakness, every unfinished detail a reason to doubt yourself. And so you push harder, wait longer, hesitate endlessly, chasing a standard that does not exist. The truth is, perfectionism is not the pursuit of excellence. Excellence is fueled by passion and growth. Perfectionism is fueled by fear and self-criticism. It paralyzes you, keeping you stuck in preparation instead of progress. It robs you of joy in the present because you are too focused on flaws that only you can see. And it steals your peace because it convinces you that worth must always be earned, never simply accepted. Psychology shows us that perfectionism is strongly linked to anxiety, burnout, and depression. It creates a cycle of endless striving without satisfaction, because no matter what you do, your inner critic moves the goalpost further away. Think of how many times you've delayed action because you wanted it to be perfect. Think of the projects abandoned because you doubted they were flawless enough to share. Think of the joy you've denied yourself because you were too focused on flaws to celebrate the progress you've made. Perfectionism does not protect you. It imprisons you. It convinces you to chase an illusion while life passes by outside the walls you've built. Imagine how freeing it would feel to embrace progress instead of perfection. Imagine creating boldly, knowing that imperfection is part of growth. Imagine celebrating yourself not because you achieved flawless results, but because you had the courage to show up and try. That is where true strength lies, in the willingness to be imperfect and still move forward. Letting go of perfectionism means embracing your humanity. It means understanding that mistakes are not proof of weakness. They are evidence of courage. They show that you had the strength to take action when you could have stayed safe. Every great success is built on a foundation of failure, adjustment, and resilience. Waiting until things are perfect only ensures that nothing ever happens. Acting with imperfection creates momentum. And momentum is what builds greatness. Ask yourself now, what have I delayed because I feared it wouldn't be perfect? How much peace have I lost by trying to meet impossible standards? And what would my life look like if I allowed myself to be imperfect but consistent? The truth is, you are already worthy. You do not need perfection to prove your value. You need courage to show up as you are, to give your best with what you have, and to keep going even when it's not flawless. The moment you release perfectionism, you reclaim joy, you reclaim peace, and most of all, you reclaim the freedom to grow into the person you were always meant to be. Another burden that quietly steals your peace is the constant habit of comparing yourself to others. It seems harmless at first, a quick glance at what someone else is doing, a thought about how far ahead they seem. But comparison is a thief that robs you of joy, gratitude, and confidence. It convinces you that your life is lacking, that your progress is too slow, that your achievements are too small, and the more you compare, the more blind you become to the beauty of your own journey. Comparison thrives in a world that never stops showing you polished snapshots of other people's lives. Social media amplifies it, feeding you endless images of success, beauty, wealth, and happiness. But what you see is not the full story. It is a highlight reel, carefully chosen to show the best moments, not the struggles behind them. Yet your mind forgets this and holds their highlights against your raw reality. That unfair comparison fuels feelings of inadequacy, shame, and restlessness. The truth is, no one else is living your story. No one else carries your exact experiences, your struggles, your lessons, or your gifts. When you compare yourself to others, you measure your worth by standards that were never meant for you. You overlook the fact that growth is not a race but a personal journey. Research shows that comparison often triggers envy and low self-esteem, and the more you indulge in it, the less satisfied you feel with your own life, even when nothing is wrong. It is a trap that keeps you chasing validation outside yourself instead of building strength within. Think of the times you doubted yourself simply because someone else seemed further ahead. Think of the moments you dismissed your own victories because they did not look as shiny as another person's. Every time you compare, you trade gratitude for envy, confidence for doubt, and peace for restlessness. And none of it brings you closer to the life you want. It only drains the energy you need to create it. But imagine how liberating it would feel to stop measuring your worth against anyone else. Imagine looking at your own progress and celebrating it, not because it's better than someone else's, but because it is yours. Imagine focusing all the energy you spend on comparison and turning it inward, using it to build habits, strength, and vision. The moment you stop looking sideways, you free yourself to move forward with clarity and purpose. Releasing comparison does not mean ignoring others. It means learning to admire without envy, to be inspired without feeling inferior. It means looking at someone else's success as proof of what is possible, not as evidence of what you lack. And it means remembering that your timeline is yours alone. Every step, every delay, every breakthrough is shaping you in ways that cannot be rushed or replicated. Ask yourself, now, how often do I lose joy because I measure my life against someone else's? What could I achieve if I invested that same energy into building myself? The truth is, comparison blinds you to your blessings, but gratitude restores your sight. When you stop comparing, you begin to see clearly that you are already on a path worthy of pride. And with that clarity comes peace. The peace of knowing that your journey, in all its uniqueness, is exactly where you are meant to be. Another weight that quietly poisons the spirit is resentment. Holding on to anger, grudges, and unspoken bitterness may feel justified in the moment, but over time it corrodes your peace from the inside. Resentment whispers that you were wronged, that someone owes you something, that your pain must be carried like proof of what was done to you. But in reality, it is not the other person who suffers most from your resentment. It is you. It keeps your heart heavy, your mind unsettled, and your future chained to a past you cannot change. Science shows that chronic resentment is linked to stress, anxiety, and even physical illness. Your body feels the tension of every unhealed wound, every memory you replay with anger, every scenario you build in your mind about how things should have gone differently. The longer you hold on, the more power those moments steal from your present. You relive them in your mind, but every replay only deepens the hurt and delays your healing. You may believe that letting go of resentment means excusing what was done to you, but letting go does not mean forgetting, nor does it mean approving of the hurt. It means choosing not to let it control you anymore. It means releasing your energy from the grip of the past so you can use it to create a better future. Forgiveness, in its truest form, is not about freeing the other person. It is about freeing yourself. It is the act of refusing to let the wound define you any longer. Think about how much time and emotional space resentment takes up in your life. How many moments of joy have been dulled by a memory you cannot let go of? How many opportunities have you walked past because you were too consumed with proving a point, replaying an argument, or nursing a silent grudge? Resentment may feel like protection, but it is really a prison. It walls you in, trapping your energy in cycles of negativity, preventing you from seeing the beauty of what lies ahead. Imagine instead what it would feel like to release that weight. Imagine waking up without the constant pull of the past, without bitterness gnawing at your thoughts. Imagine feeling light again, with more space for joy, creativity, and love. The decision to let go is not a single act. It is a practice. It is a choice you make daily, to stop feeding the anger and start nourishing your peace. When you let go of resentment, you reclaim your power. You no longer allow someone else's actions to dictate your inner state.